Mark, Florian, thanks for hopping on. It's good to see you. And we work together. We were just talking about things on your face.
Like my beard. Yeah.
Right. And when I first hopped on a call with you, I didn't recognize you because your avatar
Yeah.
is a clean shaven face. How long have you been rocking the beard?
So, this takes us me back to when we were living in China a year or so ago.
Oh my gosh.
Before I joined GitLab, we were living in China. And then I joined GitLab while I was in China, and we stayed there for about 10 months. And so my avatar is a picture of me before I had the beard while in China, and we were in a tea house having some lovely tea. Then when was it? It must have. So we went to Tibet while we were in China, and in Tibet, it sounds like a bit of a cliche now that I think about it, but in Tibet, I decided to grow a beard. So that was about a year and a half ago now.
That's awesome. That's cool. Well, it looks good.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was funny that we were bringing it up, and you said you had sometimes have nightmares of shaving it off. I don't recognize your avatar. I just know like this is someone else, but it's Mark's avatar.
Yeah, it's kind of like I used to have dreams where, anxiety dreams when your teeth fall out or something like that, but it's turned into my beard falling out.
I don't know that's funny. I don't know if I've ever had that dream. So you've been at GitLab for like 2 years now, and previously, and you've been traveling the world. I don't think I've ever asked you, how long have you been in software engineering? Like, how long have you been doing? We do web development, but have you ever done any other kind of software engineering? Or
I've done some Python. There's always web focused, I guess. So I've been doing some kind of coding, some kind of development since maybe 2011, roughly. So 9 years, I guess. It started off as like it's been a really random trajectory. Like I didn't plan to be where I am now. In fact, I didn't plan to be at any stage along the journey. It just sort of started that way. So I started doing some minor JavaScript, like snippets to help a department I used to work in, an operations department at a surveying company. And then I started doing some Python development for some automation that they had to help automate generation of PowerPoint templates using a Python library that a contractor had built for us. And from there, I joined their survey platform team and I became what's my job title, probably my best job title, was widgeteer.
Oh gosh.
And then from there, since then, that was about 2013, I've stayed in web development front end, basically.
Oh, wow. You said, so you kind of started doing JavaScript snippets. What were you doing there? You were just like...
So, yeah, what was it? So the survey company, they have their own built in-house surveying platform. And researchers will use the platform to write scripts, which are, a custom language to define a questionnaire. And there are sort of built-in like question types like single response, multiple response, open-ended, things like that. But sometimes clients who commission surveys want some extra features like that the built-in platform doesn't offer. So this is where a bit of JavaScript came in. You could write a script, load it into the page, and just interact with.
And this is for that
the page in general,
right? It's kind of like extensions. This is for that specific like client's survey. It's not something like that you're writing for your platform or something. That makes sense. That's cool.
Yeah.
Did you
messier than that?
Yeah, I would imagine so. I used to work at a marketing automation company, and we did landing pages stuff, and like had to inject JavaScript to make the monkey dance on certain landing pages using things like Salesforce. It was funky to say the least. Did you mention that? Did you study software in university or?
Nope. Very much not. I studied physics, basically.
That rocks.
And it was, it was my passion at the time, but I've used about none of it since I left universities.
But I think everybody uses physics every day, but maybe you're just now more aware of it than.
For sure, I think about it all the time, and the odd news story comes out, and I still read about it. Like, what was the latest one? Just about whether the inflation theory is really the right thing. It answers a lot of questions. It sort of explains a lot of things we observe about the universe, but it's also just absolutely crazy. So maybe there's another approach.
That's wild. Okay. Well, yeah, that's awesome. So then you just started picking up scripting because it's like, hey, clients need this. I'm a smart guy. I think I can try to whack at it. JavaScript, was that your first programming language to really kind of touch?
Um, yeah, it probably was,
Wow.
and then followed closely by Python.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
When you think about your early days of okay, I need to kind of get this thing to work, and here's a whole bunch of messy JavaScript, and I need something to like. What are some of those feelings that come up when you're thinking about those early days of computing or software or whatever?
Um, that meme where there's a dog with glasses on and he's in front of a chemistry set, and it's like, I have no idea what I'm doing. That was how very much I felt. And in fact, you know what? I still feel that way every day. I have no idea what I'm doing most of the time.
That's awesome. But you've been doing this for a while now. So since then, your main role has been doing like so you said your title was like widget here. It kind of sounds like, hey, you're responsible for hacking away and trying to get like some, magically get, customers' requirements done. And now your title is software engineer. What do you think is a big difference between how you approach a software problem now and what you're doing now versus early on back then?
There's more discipline, much more structure, I guess. Nowadays, things are well defined, as in we want a new page to look like this, and it's solving this business need. Whereas back then, I guess it was very ad hoc, almost like on a personal level. Like, researchers would ask me for a favor.
Yeah.
Oh, hey Mark, I heard you can, maybe jazz this up a bit.
Oh yeah.
I guess that it's a formalized position. The position has become more formal since then. I guess that's the difference.
So in that organization, like you were not officially part of were you officially part of a development team?
No.
But there probably was a development team, right?
Yes, there was. So when I was a widgeteer, I joined that development team. Before that, my job title was technical creative, which is
I wish that was
incredibly
my job.
vague. It's incredibly vague. It was just me basically, and my boss who sort of did that kind of role before me as well.
How did your organization feel about like you're kind of doing some hacking away, a little bit of development, automating or tweaking things for individuals outside of the development team? Clearly they adopted you, but how did any of that play out for you? Like before they adopted you, was there any kind of like were you at a company culture where there was like some awkward turf issues, or they were like, oh, he's not a real software engineer, so he's just gonna cause problems? Or
Well, funny you should say that last thing, because I've never felt like I'm a real software engineer, so I've had fears about that my entire career. But the development team at this company, I think they took it as a compliment. They thought, wow, someone is actually spending this much time trying to enhance our product. And they wanted to help where they could. So for instance, an initiative that they wanted to set up to make my job easier was to develop more of a formal custom widget API, I guess,
Yeah.
because everything was very ad hoc before. And with a proper custom widget API, I could actually hook into that and do it properly in a sort of more robust way, I guess.
Oh,
So they were keen.
that's really cool. So it sounds like, and that's awesome to hear. So my early days of doing software was I was not part of development team. Our little team, our group, we were the business reporting group, and IT was promising our large company, business intelligence dashboards for years. Um, but we used Excel and VBA to get people what they wanted, in weeks. And that
How
was,
did Excel and VBA work out for you?
oh gosh, I am really thankful for the experience. But anytime I'm at an organization and someone's like, "Is there any Excel wizards around?" I don't like to raise my hand because
Actually, now that you've mentioned that, that reminds me, your earlier question, what was my first language? It's probably going to be Excel formulas, because I did an internship where it was supposed to be a data entry thing. But rather than, just reading things and typing it
yeah,
in, I built a spreadsheet using array formulas, which I had to learn. And I didn't use any VBA, but it was just pure, like a mad, huge sheet of full of crazy formulae. And it worked. And it made my job a lot quicker and easier.
man.
Um,
You're
so
bringing
yeah,
you're bringing up some feelings. I'm gonna have to push them down. This is a good. We hit a good topic though. Early on in my career when I was doing this, and I realized what we're doing doesn't always work, and like I realized like there's some fundamental issues with what we're trying to do with Excel, um, and there's and we were doing business reporting, and so we worked with sales and accounting to like get what are the real numbers. So there was a team of I wouldn't say they were accountants or finance, but they were like responsible for what are the raw numbers. We do all these adjustments, and then we get the real numbers. And so every time, like for our organization, anytime there was uh, a report, people always ask, "Are these the adjusted numbers? Are they the real numbers?" So it was a little crazy. But these people that did the adjustments, they had humongous Excel spreadsheets like what you're describing. Um, and they started out as humongous, manual. Here's an instruction to follow. Here's a sheet with all the formulas, and you like follow this, you paste things here, and you do things. And then they started to learn VBA, and they started to like record the things that they're doing and stuff. And this is the first time I heard this phrase, and it's always made me nervous and cringe a little bit. But after watching some of their process, I realized, like, oh my gosh, like this is what the whole business, like, considering how these people value these numbers, and then seeing how the sausage was made, it was like this is what the whole business is running on. These words were uttered to me. I know enough to be dangerous. And what that means to me is you know enough to be a danger to yourself and others. Like you need to be not touching these things. But you have people like yourself in your organization that are like, we're contributing, we're doing really awesome stuff. And, at GitLab, our motto is, everyone can contribute. And early on, I didn't feel like everyone could contribute. Now I kind of feel like, hey, I like that. But now you're bringing up some feelings of like, everyone can contribute except for you. Like, what do you think what do you think can make an organization do that successfully where everyone can contribute, and you kind of touched on it, but what are your thoughts there where you're not an official developer but you're doing something that is impacting business needs? um, what do you think can help foster that? Do you think that there's a danger to it, a risk to it, and how do you mitigate that? What are your thoughts?
It's complicated. I mean, this business that you described. Have you heard of the daily WTF? Uh,
Yes, I think I have. Yeah.
yeah. What you just discussed is like that's an archetypal story on the daily W2F. Like a whole business functions on this crazy mess of VBA and Excel spreadsheets, linked Excel spreadsheets, and a server that's locked in a room that no one has the key for. Stuff like this. Um, but those businesses work; they make money, so maybe that's okay. I think the problem comes when you talk about growing the company and scaling. That's where you need to have more structure, I think, and you need to have more discipline. And it can't be that everyone contributes who maybe, if someone knows enough to be dangerous, the scope of what they can touch needs to be limited. They can help,
Yeah.
immediate colleagues and their team even, that'd be great. But as soon as they touch something that affects the larger organization, and that organization is particularly large and, lots of semi-autonomous parts, I think that's where you need more discipline, more hierarchy, more structure.
Mhm.
Um,
I really like what you were describing. Your and for I don't really know what they were called, but your dev team was doing was like, okay, let's see if we can figure out an API to help these people write extensions. And I think that's really powerful. Is as an organization, let's rather than adding process on process to try to control what people do, let's try to empower them. And you're right, but let's do it in a very limited focused way, but let's try to empower them to do that. And that's kind of the dream of like business intelligence, where we can drag and drop our fields and create our own reports using whatever we want. um but even but maybe but that's just for that reporting problem. For a development problem, I think it'd be interesting for organizations to help empower internal development in a constructive way, using like, hey, we built like an internal platform for doing this or something. And I think that's would be really neat. you know I think you mentioned this archetype of a business that runs on crazy processes. One common trait I see there is that there is a very small buzz factor. It's like someone knows enough to be dangerous and they're the only one that knows how to do it, and they're going to be here for 10 more years until they retire, uh, or something happens. And we've had those instances. We had and I left the company when one of those people were leaving, and they were like, hey, Paul, you seem like you're smart and technical, so can you take over this process? Here it is. I do this, every week for 20 hours. And I was like, I don't think I want to do this. And I don't even have I wasn't even a developer, so I didn't even have the power to like automate it or anything, which was frustrating. You brought up all those feelings. I'm gonna try to stop talking about myself now. um,
no, no, it's interesting. I think I was one of those people who built one of these crazy, contraptions, and then left. It was like
oh, I
a
did.
Python script running on a VM, talking to another machine, which talks to a third machine and gets something from this machine, dumps it here, processes it, and then uploads it and mails it.
That's
It's
awesome.
just
Um,
a lot
that
of handover work there.
Yeah. How do you feel about those? Like looking back at your past projects, if you ever get like the memory, the recollection of something that's like, oh man, yeah, I wrote that. I wonder how it's doing these days.
I think about that a lot actually. There's lots of things where I wish I could go back to that company and just have a look at what's going on. Like, is that crazy process that I set up still going? I think there's a strong chance it is. But I think I'm kind of proud of them even. So like at the time I did the best job that I could have done,
Mm,
knowing what I knew then. And it worked more or less.
that's
um,
good.
and over time I improved, things I worked on later on got better and better, I hope. But I would like to go back and see how they're doing, and are they still being used and so on. It's kind of a legacy almost.
That's beautiful. I have a lot of regrets and things I'd want to apologize for. Do you have any project? So maybe that I can feel better. Do you have any projects like that you're like, man, like maybe you do have like pushed away in a compartment that you don't think about a lot, and you're kind of like, hmm, I wish I did this one differently, or maybe not even took on the project. It's okay if you don't.
Yeah, I think the closest one to that is the one I was talking about with this, 4 or 5 different machines talking to each other and mailing and processing and so on. Like the mess, like when I handed that over to the next person, in fact, I had to hand it over 3 times because I left the department, had to hand over then that person left. So I then had to hand over to the person who replaced them, and then a 3rd time. And but the space between having to do this grew longer and longer because I made some improvements to the system each time, fixing a bug that I hadn't foreseen before, kind of thing. So
That's cool.
I regret making such a mess, because being the other person, having me talk them through the process and trying to internalize all of that, I must have made them question why they were in the company. Like, who is this madman and why has he come up with this mess for me to handle?
Oh man.
So I feel bad for them.
But you're still proud of the machine. You're like, this is
I'm proud because I think at the time, for many years, and I think it still is, doing important work for the company.
That's huge. And I think that can get so overlooked with people that really, really, really know what they're doing. It can get so easy to overlook the, like, when you grow and you realize, how maybe technically risky or unmaintainable what I'm doing is, you really start to tap the brakes on something. But that can cause us to not actually solve a real business problem. And it is so valuable to actually solve those problems. And I think there is a balance that has to be had, because, you realize, hey, when we do have to maintain this thing and people want to jump out a window, like that's that's a problem. But I think that having that knack of like, okay, we gotta solve problems for my stakeholders and my customers first, and having that heart is, I think, is important. Tron is kind of my hero of, I fight for the user. That's the only thing I know he says.
I couldn't tell you what else he says.
Yeah. Okay, so I have a couple other questions for you. So you and I, it's kind of sounds like we started software because we were in our organization. We kind of saw a business need, and we're like, okay, how can I start tweaking this? Do you think that's the norm? How do you see most people getting into software? We do web developments. We're definitely in a certain bucket, but when you just look over all of it, what do you think gets most people into it?
I think the median developer, I guess, for the largest body of people who do work with software probably are like us, who just sort of stumble into it, I guess. They didn't study it. They just sort of found that it could solve problems for them and then made a career out of that. I think that's probably where the majority come from. I mean, the largest body of developers is probably web developers, I would imagine.
I think JavaScript is the most used language, so I think that implies it's web development.
Yeah, and also the barrier to entry is so low for JavaScript. I mean, maybe not so much nowadays, unfortunately, but back in the day, you could just write a script, throw it on a page, and you're done, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And you could even look at the source of other websites and see how they do things and learn from them, which is still technically possible, but much harder now because of all the transpiling and minification and stuff, and WebAssembly as well coming, right?
Yeah.
Kind of, I don't think that means developers will be able to just jump in and see how a website works anymore, which is a shame.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think it obviously is I guess this is what it comes down to. Why I don't feel like a proper software engineer is that I didn't study it. I don't do, I don't understand from the metal up to, say, the system layer. There's a lot there that I don't understand. I only understand the sort of high level stuff.
Mm.
So I would like to understand that, but also there's only so much time, you know.
Yeah, and I think it's important to highlight that not understanding that hasn't really blocked you, and keeping that eye on what you want to do, what you want your program to achieve, or whatever. And also, keeping your standards not at a perfectionist level. I think that helps you grow. And Mark, I think you're a proper software engineer. So if you doubted yourself, uh, you're definitely a software engineer in my eyes.
Well, thank you very much. That's good to hear.
Yeah, I love working with you, and I think, and you talked about you having this perspective at high level. I love having high level conversations with you. I think you have a really good knack for maintainability, and performance, and you know when things can go wrong. And I think, um, to me, honestly, though, I don't, I did just compliment you, but I'm also going to potentially take away the weight of that compliment. Um, I was doing
I'm
some
ready
work.
for it.
I was fixing our toilet, and I was doing some plumbing, and I said, "Look, I'm a plumber. I'm plumbing." And so my wife is like, she's going through Code Academy. She's doing a little bit of software stuff. I was like, "Look, you're engineering software. You're a software engineer. Like, now, whether you're a good one or not a good one, I'm not a good plumber." And like, and I think I think though that's a good identity to have. Is like, hey, you just got to do it, and that's, if you're too afraid to because I'm not good at it, then yeah, you're not. If you're not doing it, then you're not. If you're not programming, you're not a programmer. But all it takes is just whacking at it, and that's kind of the point of this recording. This is us taking open source issues, just whacking at them, and whether they get merged or not, we're bettering ourselves. We're also contributing to the discussion going on here, um, and also because it's a lot of fun, and that's the bit that I really wish more and more people would get into software about. Is I find this to be a wildly rewarding profession, because I get to be creative and technical, um, and I find it personally, like, even if I'm just solving business problems, I can kind of that are just mentally wild. I can kind of abstract that monotony into, like, okay, but how am I going to do it using these functions, and I feel like I'm just get to be this beautiful balance of creativity and technical. And if I was going to equate it to anything, I kind of feel like it's being um like a like a like a marketing artist that's like has a business need, but I'm using my technical skill of being an artist, like, to kind of solve some sort of business need. uh so I find this to personally be a very rewarding profession. Yeah, I don't know if you feel the same way.
Um, I do, and I'm glad you said that. I felt my heart swell. You know, you inspired me a little bit when you said that, and it reminded me of something. But before I get to that, I want to ask you a question. Did you fix the toilet?
I did. Yeah, thanks for
Ah,
asking.
see, that's fantastic.
I
So I
did.
think, that proves your point, right? If you just give it a go, you never know what will happen. I did something similar several years ago. I disconnected and reconnected one of our radiators, which is central heating system in the UK, and that was a pretty harrowing plumbing experience,
That
given how
rules.
much damage I could have done. So my second point was that you reminded me, you want people to get into software engineering just because it can be quite rewarding and it's something to try, and people shouldn't be scared of it. And it reminded me of this article I read a few months ago. I can't remember what it's called, but the premise of the article was comparing software development, or writing code, in fact, to be like home cooking.
Mm,
People who cook at home aren't doing it to become chefs. They're doing it because they enjoy it, because they enjoy spending time and eating with their families or friends what they've produced. And he was espousing this idea that writing code, we should encourage writing code to be treated in the same way, as in you write code for yourself, but maybe, you might enjoy doing it with, to solve a problem that your friend has, or,
Yeah.
it's just a tool that you can use, then you can have fun with it.
Yeah, I think that's a good. I think that's a good analogy. For me personally, I've heard that analogy before. It doesn't resonate well with me because I don't like cooking, and I'm like, but honestly, it's because I'm really bad at it. But what I've noticed, even though and because I'm really bad at it, and I read in a recipe that says like, oh, take a pinch of salt, and I'm like, how much is a pinch? Like, uh, that kind of freaks me out. But recently, I learned to make a soup, uh, and it's like a really, really simple soup. I don't remember the name of it, but it's like this Greek lemon chicken thing. It's really tasty. But starting simple and doing it my way, like my wife is an amazing cook. She's has a Latin American heritage where they're all kind of everyone's expected to be really great at cooking, and they all love it. I starting very simple with the soup and doing it my way, where I was like experimenting and like treating it more like an engineering problem. I had fun with it, and so I said originally I didn't like that analogy, but now that I've grown a little bit in my home cooking experience, I do like the analogy, because when I did give it a go, like, and I did it and I just had fun with it, um, that was huge. And I think that's such a huge deal with software. What were we gonna say?
I was just going to ask, was your soup story related to your toilet story?
No.
I hope not. But,
All right.
again, yeah, I hope your soup, I'm sure your soup was very nice.
Thanks.
It was something to try.
Yeah,
Why
it
not?
was something to try. It was really soothing. We were all a little under the weather too, so it was fun. Um, I've got a couple more questions for you, then we got to get into some code. Um, Lots and lots and lots of software shops out there, some dev shops, uh, companies doing internal software development. Um, if the discussion we had earlier, if it was encouraging people to get into software, this discussion might discourage people. I feel like when you look at the news and you look at what's out there, it seems to be really, really hard to get it right. Um, like, and by that I mean, and I imagine there's some examples in the UK, but in the States we have, and usually it's tied to some government contract stuff. In the States, we had our healthcare portal, which was like the worst and couldn't like handle everybody logging in. Um, and we have a number of other kind of issues like that, whether it's local government or not or whatever. And uh, we've all wrestled with like a technology that just isn't a great experience. We see some that are great experiences, we see some that are not, and we see some companies like put all their chips in making something, you know, we're going to believe this is it, and then, years pass and things are over budget and we've never shipped, and now we kind of need someone to bail us out. What do you think is at the large level or even the small level? What do you think is so hard to get right with software projects, and whether it's a large, humongous project or a small project?
Um, I think I think the main problem. So you mentioned in the US you have some projects which never end, and so on. We had a similar thing in the UK where the NHS, the National Health Service, started trying to build a new system that all patient data would go into, and it would be, allow doctors to transfer patient data seamlessly, and so on. And that was a huge, huge undertaking, like cost billions and billions of pounds, and uh, it was breaking all the time. Doctors hated it. We have different areas where the NHS is sort of broken up into regions, I guess. Can't remember what they're called, trusts maybe. And each trust wanted something slightly different, so it had to be tweaked for their special case. And I think eventually a lot of it got scrapped. Some pieces of it got kept, and those are really good.
Yeah.
But in general, the bulk of it got scrapped, and it was billions of pounds just wasted, kind of thing. And I think one of the main reasons for that is that they were trying to please everyone, and replace everything all at once. It was like the scope of it was just ridiculous. It was completely unrealistic. And I think maybe there were too many. It was too big a project to take on, and I think they even employed more than one company to do it. And so the amount of collaboration that was necessary, so I think what can go wrong is being too ambitious.
Yeah, I think that's a good. I think that's a good observation. You do see some really ambitious projects work. Like you look at SpaceX, compared to almost, not to diss on NASA, but some of the things NASA produces, and you're like, you know, uh, and I haven't really seen anything that NASA's produced recently, but looking at the historical shuttles and stuff, you do see humongous projects that do work. And I think ambition is part of it. I personally feel closer to, you said they were trying to please everybody. And I think that that's an interesting observation of, man, the people side, and knowing that software at that scale isn't built individually, and it is built across people and entire organizations. You kind of really do need some strong like leadership of, this is what we have to do, and that is also technical and knows what's going to work and not work.
Right.
But you also need some. I find it, across organization relationship, it can understand being really difficult. Especially because how do I validate, or like, not even, let's say I'm assuming good intent from another organization, but like they've built this whole service. How do I know like it's gonna work? And I think part of it is, I really like the agile principles. I'm not sure how much study you've done with like waterfall versus agile, and but I've seen some people try to do agile and just fall on their face, and it hurts the number of software failures I've seen. It hurts the number of software failures that have like really affected people. And I'd say some of the stuff, to be topical, some of the COVID testing stuff that we have, I think, is riddled with software errors. One of the issues we have with some of the processes is, if you have people in a line getting to get tested for COVID, someone leaves the line, they can end up getting called that, oh, you tested positive for COVID, because they identify people by their place in line. So once somebody leaves the line, everybody's results is bumped. I think that they've addressed this problem.
I love that that's like a physical manifestation of off by one errors, right?
Right.
That's
But
great.
And that's interesting. And I think it comes, you have you have issues that can come at the requirements level. You have issues that can come at design. You have issues that can come in implementation. None of those issues, you don't ever see it until you actually see it. And I like to equate software. I'm starting to rant. I like to equate software to sketching. And you notice artists that are trying to do something that's realistic, you got to use your eyes, and you're looking at it and you're seeing, what does this look like on paper? And I'm going to do like very light, like, does this look right? And if it's not, I'm going to erase it or whatever. I actually have to see it. If I'm writing documentation out of like, this is the proportions of the face, this is what they look like, this is like, I'm writing all this documentation out of like, here's how you're going to do it. Here's your permanent pen, go. Like, some people may be able to do that, but it's really hard.
Yeah, absolutely. Having construction lines is necessary for drawing, right? It's how you were taught to draw, and how professional artists, I understand, draw. If you could only use a permanent marker, you'd be scared to touch the paper, right?
There's some people that can do it. They're pretty amazing.
Definitely a minority though, right? And
Yeah,
I think the same
definitely.
applies for software. Like there are some people, I've met a few, I think, who can just produce incredible pieces of software quite effortlessly. But coming back to the analogy with Tesla and SpaceX, I think conceptual complexity is an issue as well. So this might be grossly oversimplifying the achievements that SpaceX and Tesla have made, but I feel like SpaceX's vision, their mission, was conceptually simple. You know, uh, make a rocket that's reusable. You know, you can just throw people who love engineering to just solve that problem, and then they gave them everything they needed to do that, and they got there eventually. And with Tesla, they wanted to make an electric car. It's very conceptually simple. There's a lot of hard engineering problems, but
Mm,
it's conceptually simple. I think the difference with like a universal healthcare system is not conceptually simple, because you've got lots of different trusts who have different practices in place. Um, you know, some will require one thing to happen, the other will require it not to happen, and
yeah.
there's a conflict of interest there. It's conceptually not simple.
You know what? You know what's interesting? What something that rang to me with those examples you brought up. Make a rocket that's reusable. You have a clear problem statement. It's not even like, here's how we're going to do it. It's, we need to be able to reuse this. You know, make an electric car. That's really about make a sustainable car. And like, I don't really care how you do it, but this is the problem. Make a universal healthcare system. No human is asking for that. There's another problem under there. You know what I mean? And
Exactly.
I think that that is one key factor I've seen to every like internal or external failed software project is you have some higher ups that have their vision for what the project's going to be like, and they love that thing, and they totally lost sight of the problem, and they're like, this is what the project looks like because everyone needs this system that has dark mode or whatever. And yeah, I think you can be ambitious, but you're right. You do have to have a simple problem you're addressing. And I think one of my favorite quotes of all time, and we're going to get to code in 2 minutes, I promise. One of my favorite quotes of all time is, and I think Einstein is attributed to saying this, but he says, if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. And that's really a challenge to me of like, and one of the key things I've noticed in this part of my career is I talk more about software than I do actually write it, which maybe is a bad thing. Uh, um, but it's a challenge to me of like, if I'm not doing this simply, maybe I'm wrong. If I can't actually explain why, and maybe I'm naive, but I feel like underneath all these complexities, like there's something simple to be had there. There's a simple way to explain the solution. There's lots of stuff going on. There's lots of entropy, but I think underneath all of it, we have to keep challenging ourselves to simplify. And that's going back to good artists, even those that can do it with a permanent marker and go in their head, they see everything as simplifications. And a lot of it is managing that complexity. And I think when you go down to the root problem, that's the ultra simplification. What are you doing? Well, we're doing a system built on AWS that does whatever. That's not simple. But what are you doing? Oh, we're trying to improve how doctors share patient information. Um, that's I think that's a huge key factor. And I hadn't thought about that recently.
On that topic of if you can't explain something simply, then you don't understand it well enough. I've done some tuition in the past of maths and a bit of physics as well, when I was a student and so on. And I found that my grasp of maths and physics improved with teaching, because I had to figure out a way to explain it simply. Otherwise, they wouldn't understand. And in figuring that out, I understood it better. And that's also kind of one of the reasons why I enjoy being a maintainer at GitLab, because when you review code, it's an opportunity to teach. And if I find a problem, then I need to figure out how to explain why it's a problem
Yeah.
to the author, and then hopefully I learn something in the process.
That's one of the favorite things I love working with you, Mark, is I think you do take the time to explain why it's a problem, even leave a suggestion, but you have to optimize that communication. So you're doing it um, in a concise way. And it may, even some of those comments may only be a few characters, but I feel like I can really feel there's a lot of thought put into it. So
I'm glad you said that, because
yeah.
sometimes I've spent a lot longer than I should have writing feedback.
I do the same thing. So hey, let's get to some code. Cool. Do you want to drive, or I could drive? Do you want to kick us off, or we can switch off in the middle?
If you have anything set up right now, that'd be good, but we can switch over and I can set
I
something
have
up locally as well.
nothing set up. So
Okay.
let's see.
I have a terminal window open, so maybe I should drive.
All right, you are a step further than me. Do you mind sharing your screen? Let me make sure I can. You can do that.
Yeah.
All participants can share. Okay, there you go.
Nice. Okay. Right. Can you see my beautiful terminal?
I can, and it looks great. Do you have our agenda doc open?
Yes, I do. Let me grab that.
It's less of an agenda doc and more of a list of open source projects I copy from document to document.
I actually don't have it.
Let me send it to you in our Zoom chat.
That might be easiest.
Here you
go. Oh, sorry, I've opened it in the wrong.
Very good.
Browsing session.
But maybe we can pick a project and discuss the issue a little bit, and then get.
Shall I share the document on the screen?
Yeah, if you want to, that'd be great.
Okay. Probably need to increase the size.
Okay.
Great. Okay.
Yeah. So here's a list of just different open source projects. But you and I talked offline, and I added and we both use Vim, which I didn't really get to ask how you started getting into Vim, but maybe we'll end up talking about while we wait for something. But it was a really good idea see if we can contribute to some Vim plugins. And I've never done this before, but I think it'll be a fun experience. So Nerd Tree is one of my favorite plugins, and there's an issue there about sorting, which I thought might be cool. But you were talking about Vim GH line, which could be a cool one to contribute to as well. There's one about sort reverse alphabetically.
This one, yeah. And then this one, we've got, there's an issue here, which discusses a problem about choosing the wrong commit.
Yeah, you mentioned this plugin is like, I'm looking at a file and I can execute a command and it will open up in GitHub or GitLab the path to that file, which is really cool. Right. And I use VSCode, and that's I use that feature on GitLens all the time. So this both seem like a cool experience. Which one do you want to try to tackle?
Well, this sort reverse alphabetically in Nerd Tree, it sounds simple, but the maintainer or author here has said that it might be difficult to implement, which sort of piques my interest almost, because how could this be difficult? So I almost want to have a look just to see how it's done such that it is difficult to add a new sorting method.
Sounds fun.
It might be fun to get into that. And the alternative is, if you are on a branch or commit that does not exist on any remote repo, then it doesn't do the right thing. So solving that somehow, which is possibly simpler, hopefully. How about we tackle the easy one first to get a handle on
I like how
working with Vim
optimistic you
plugins.
are.
And then hopefully, if we solve that to a reasonable degree, we can move on to the fun, crazy sorting one.
Sure.
What do you think?
Yeah. Sounds good to me. I think this is going to be a smaller project too, than Nerd Tree, and Nerd Tree might have a lot more going on with it. So, yeah, let's check it out.
Okay, right. So first things first, I guess I need to clone the repo. Open Tmux.
So do you use like plug or something to install?
I do. So I use Vim plugged.
Oh, cool. I think I use the same thing. And when I was thinking about how would I do Vim plugin development, can you just throw in like a file path here?
You can. So let me pull up. Where is this? Sorry.
So for those that don't know, Vim is an text editor for the terminal, which is very sophisticated, but it's also beautifully simple and easy, quote unquote, easy to use once you learn to use it.
Right. So most plugins that you can install with Vim plug, you just pass like the username and project name for GitHub or GitLab, I guess, or the actual full URL. But what's also nice is that you can just pass in a directory. So you can do local development. So I imagine what we need to do is
and this is all in like this is all in your like vimrc configuration file for
exactly. So the thing we're working on is actually this project here that I've already got. So I guess what I want to do is comment this out. That's not how you comment out in Vim. And load a local one. So I'm assuming I'm going to put it in dev vim gh-line.
Cool.
I think that's what I need to do. And let's get a pane. So now dev. Cool. Okay. So what is it called? Vim. Okay, so we are on master, and the last activity here was from 3 months ago. Interesting.
Sweet. So we're probably not going to run demerge conflicts.
No, maybe not. So I'm going to change to that. So change directory dev vim gh-line and vim.
So if you boot up Vim, is it going to start working? Wow.
I don't know, actually. Plug.
You have to run plug, like plug install, or?
It says it's, where is it? Vim. Why can't I see it? Oh, gh-line. It's right there. So it's loaded, apparently.
Okay.
So that's cool. Actually, let me just check something. If I move vim gh-line back, and then quit this, and then load it again.
Should complain.
Plug status. It's not loaded. So it was loaded correctly.
Yes. All right. So just like with every other kind of contribution thing that we've done here, we're just trying to set up the feedback loop of we can make a change to the plugin and we can see how it changes it when it's actually in runtime, when it's actually executing. So,
so in a sense, we've almost done a red-green sort of TDD cycle here. Like, have we made a change? Does it fail in the expected way? Move
on. Now I did notice they did have like a test in their, they had like a test script in their repo. You want to see if you can run that?
Yes.
But before, maybe we should inspect the script before we run.
It's Good advice. So what's it doing? It's changing directory to, I guess, I can't remember what this idiom
I think
means.
that's the current. I think it's going to be the current script path. So it's
right. So it's going to change to the test directory probably. So start VI in the cleanest possible way and only load tests and the plugin directory. The E and S flags and the two into &1 trickery is required for the output to be displayed correctly in environments without interactive TTY such as CI. Okay, fine. So here's a crazy Vim incantation. I don't know what any of these flags mean.
And that's fine. What I'm kind of picking up on, and I look at line 18, I think that there's a function that gets loaded in this vimgh line test vim called run all tests. And I think they've maybe declared some tests there. So maybe we can open up that file and see. Oh yeah, it looks like there's their func to try to run all tests. I don't know all the fancy terminal stuff again, but that's okay.
Oh yeah, if I'm jumping around a lot,
no,
I can try and.
This is good actually. And I love seeing how everybody works differently. So this is good. So there is a function run all tests.
So it looks like now vimscript is a language that I do not understand. Like this prefixing of say S, I think that means it's script local, and similarly L means a local variable. I think, but I don't know.
That makes a lot of sense to me.
And A means it's an argument because SID is there.
But what's cool about these open source projects, and like there's already patterns here, and like we can make small changes and learn a bit about Vim scripting like while we start just tweaking a little bit, seeing what happens. I think if we I see there's an S run all tests. Is that elsewhere in this function? If you do like a regex search for run all tests.
Let's do
Here we go. There we go. So you see that they're doing test GitHub, test action, test commit.
Yeah, this one. Gotcha.
Test GitLab URL. Sweet. What do one of those tests look like? Like we do the.
So here's let's look at the GitLab one because that's a bit more fitting. So
call with SID. Is this just seeing if it? Oh, there's. Unexpected result with. I wonder what this call with SID thing is doing. I mean, is that calling a function?
Call with SID. Presumably, it is.
I think it's calling these functions. I think we're calling a function and capturing.
Ah, yes, you're probably right. But where is this call with SID thing defined? There. Yeah. So it's taking
A function name. Gives us the ability to call script local functions in the plugin implementation. Ah, so you thought something was local to the script, but it's not. So I guess it's letting us call. So these are unit tests. I think these are testing those individual script local functions, like GitLab URL. What are some of the other functions we're testing? I love how this is commented. Oh, I'm learning so much.
Yeah, it's nice actually. So the thing that jumps out at me with this test is that it's apparently doing is asserting that we get an error message. Which is,
just you know what you mentioned, doing a little bit of like red green, test driven development. Let's just see what happens if we change one of those messages. Like, does the test fail?
so if I run, that's why run. Hopefully this won't do anything bad. Okay, test passed. Great. Fantastic.
Oh, yeah, hopefully it doesn't start. Yeah.
So I'm going to remove a character there. Test run. Test passed. Interesting. I wonder why that is.
Did you save it after removing it?
You know what? I did not. Oh, maybe I did. Change inside foobar. Interesting. Why is that passing? Calling, is it actually calling it? Yeah, test GitLab URL. Yeah.
Can we throw garbage a garbage function name instead of GitLab URL on line 137? Can we do git poodle URL? Oh yeah, that's good.
Okay, so we have an unknown function error. So it's being called, I guess.
It does sound like it sounds like we may not be trusting these tests too much.
It
Oh,
could be.
wait. Oh, that must be the error message if the assertion is wrong. Oh, I see. Oh, and you see on line 1, I see. It's testing the first 2 arguments, but if it's wrong, this is the error message, but everything's passing, so we're good. It's if we wanted to actually fail the test rather than just calling garbage, we could change what we're asserting it equal to. Rather than gitlab.com, gitlab CE, let's just do gitlab on line 1.
As in this is the correct successful message, and this is the error message.
Right. What this must be doing is this function must be looking at the remote URL, because you also look at what's happening 143 and 144. It must be looking at the remote URL and how do we get the HTTP URL from that.
Yeah, here we are. So you're right. It expected foo, but it got the actual repository path. Okay.
So this is a good entry point for us to maybe we could, and I don't know how to test it, but like whenever we start poking around at it, it looks like there'll be a way for us to test, did we get the right commit here? Did we just get one locally, or did we get one that's actually on the origin branch? So that's interesting.
I'm just having a quick look to see if there are any other GitLab specific tests. It looks like this is the only one. So one thing that strikes me as a little bit odd is that this test seems to be only asserting that you get the URL.
Yeah, look at 143 and 144. I think that's the main thing that this thing is doing is, what did you use to clone this? How do we get the HTTP URL from it so that we can make a web, so we can actually open it up in the browser or something? I think that's the main thing that's going on here.
So I wonder if there are any tests then for like getting the line numbers correct in the URL and getting the actual expected commit hash.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe that's a unit test elsewhere.
Maybe there's, I guess, like the pattern sub-use. Maybe we don't do it for. Maybe they're not doing it for GitLab. Maybe it's just for GitHub. How if they're doing like that more sophisticated URL building. I wonder what test commit is. That sounds like that's maybe something we're interested in.
Yeah, that could well be it. So calling test commit.
So this is, I guess, giving us, oh man, look at these nice variable names. I guess it's giving us the file directory. And then
yes, so gh use canonical. If I do help, I can't remember what that's called actually. Maybe if I go to this site quickly. Oh, there is no help. Maybe it's just the README use canonical. So use canonical version hash for URL in place of branch name. So that's what that variable is doing. So here,
for their test, they're setting 0, and then
it's not using canonical. So for the test, this is using the branch name, and that's, I guess, corresponding to this.
Do they use canonical 1 anywhere here in their test?
No, that's it.
Oh.
So
I wouldn't really call this test commit. I would maybe call it test branch.
That maybe seems more appropriate, yeah. That said, I think this is the default. Let's have a quick look. Yeah, so if it's not defined, set that as the default. So in fact, it's set to 1 for all other tests.
I see.
I think.
Okay. Okay, that's interesting. Calling test commit, and so expand is 89. Just for fun, can we add like a like an echo here, or just to see what file is it looking at? Is it looking at the specific test file? Like that would be interesting.
As you want to find out what file there is.
I want to see the value of file dir. Can we do like can we call the persisted print? I guess like what we're doing on line 87.
Yeah. Okay. I imagine you can just do something like L.
It looks like on line 91 we can just reference it, maybe. But you're right, on line 93 we do something different. I have no idea.
Here we are. So calling test commit. That's this, and then we have.
It's just giving us the path to that specific file. That's interesting.
So then it's changing to that. It's changing to that dir.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's calling git rev-parse. It's basically, so this gets the branch name.
Yep, that makes sense. Okay, interesting. So,
and then
I'm now curious to know how do we get the commit? I guess we don't have a test for it, so I guess it's time to go to the actual plugin code.
Maybe I just want to have a quick look. What's a regex for a SHA? Is there a simple regex? It's probably.
You could do like a character square bracket, like A to F, 0 to N, or 0 to 9, multiple times.
Yeah, I wonder though if it's maybe they aren't even going to write a commit hash directly in here, but just use git rev-parse or something like that, and so it'll just be hidden in a variable. Because I didn't, with my eye, eyeballing it, I didn't see any commit hashes there.
Yeah.
Actually, come to think of it, you probably can't. It'd be difficult to mock that out and guarantee a particular commit hash, right? So. Fine. Let's start looking in. So let's look at the size of this file. It's 400. That's the extent of the plugin. It's 437 lines, and definitely some comments. Big comment there. Nice. Let's. I don't know. We were just looking at test commit, so let's look at s commit.
Oh yeah, we can just do rev parse head, or a rev head.
So I wonder if that's it, right? Because this is.
It's just getting your recent commit. So this isn't even getting it for that specific line either. It's just getting what's the most recent commit on this directory, right?
It's what is the what is your head basically?
Mm-hmm.
What commit SHA is your head, and that's it. So I think what we want to do here is something along the lines of, well, there's a lot of options here. So kind of like with Tesla and SpaceX, we need to define our problem better.
That's a really good point. I would think our main problem is what was identified in that issue, and what you talked to me about too, is I can call this, I can trigger this function, and it opens up a URL that doesn't exist because the commit is something locally. And in reality, and now I'm skipping a step. but part of it, the commit is locally because it's just looking at that directory. It's not even looking at the file of what's the most recent commit for that specific file. But I think what we want to do is for that directory, what's the most recent commit on not on my current head branch, but on a branch on origin.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of we could take two approaches here. We could either in this issue, the reporter is saying the plugin should report an error. Now, I've found we can actually use the plugin to test the plugin, right? So I'm going to use the thing, and you didn't see that it's opened this browser page for me.
That's so fancy.
And it's got the line numbers that I highlighted. So this is how it works. So if I committed a new commit, let's do
Good idea. Let's do it.
If I can find the thing. So didn't read me. Foo.
But I think it does have to be for that specific directory. So let's try it out. But I'm not entirely sure if this is going to work.
So basically, I now have a commit that is not on origin. So if I use a different selection and do this, it opens a 404.
Oh, you're right. So it's not even doing for the directory. For some reason, I thought, for some reason, I thought it was like actually looking at the directory for the commit. But I guess that makes sense. It's saying, oh, that's interesting.
So I think what it's doing is it's constructing the sort of GitHub, GitLab, whatever specific base, then whatever specific path is necessary to access the blob, then the commit hash, and then the actual path to the file, and then line descriptors.
Have you seen what GitLens does? I might share my screen and show you how GitLens solves this problem. Let me do that.
I suspect GitLens is a bit different, as in it's
yes. Let me open up VSCode. Can you see my screen?
I can.
Okay. So I was working on something over here, and yeah, we'll just go here. So here's a spec that I was doing, and you notice when I highlight a line, GitLens for every line gives me the commit information for that line. So if I want to open up this whole file, I can open file on remote, and I can pick from all my different remotes which one I want to do. And I happen to know that this is the one I want to do. And then it asks me, do I want to open from here? And I guess it does it based on the branch name there. I don't know what happens if I do a bogus branch.
Well, so that branch name, is that the branch name you're currently checked out on there?
It is. Yeah, and it's the same that I've pushed up as well. So what it must do though is it must look at what is this branch's upstream or something like that.
Yes. So what happens now?
So now I have bogus branch checked out. If I go to open file on remote, oh, look how fancy it is.
I mean, opening all branch names on the remote is maybe overkill.
But I do get to have, I want to really only on master or whatever. Like I do get to.
So the built-in sort of fuzzy search is there.
Wow, okay. That's really fancy. So that's one. So that's an interesting thing. But this one doesn't actually have. I mean, this plugin doesn't actually have this for the whole file. This plugin is about I've selected these lines, and the way GitLens works is it'll look at a line, and I can right-click and open. What's wrong with you? Oh no, it's like over here or something. Open on remote, that specific line. And I think it's at that commit. So let's see what this one's saying. Yeah, it looks like it's just opening up just that commit. Oh, it's not even opening up for that specific line. That's interesting. But I wonder what happens if I do make a commit, which it seems like I've done. Oh, I thought I pushed this up. Anyways. Yeah, here I have uncommitted changes. It doesn't let me do, I guess, well, let me actually do a work in progress commit. All right, here's my work in progress. I go to open it. This is probably going to fail, right? Yeah. Okay, it has the same problem.
Interesting. That's really interesting. So I guess it's because there's multiple ways to approach this, right? You could either say, sorry, this doesn't exist on the remote, or you could then offer the option, and GitLens does this for the wrong branch case. What branch do you want to open on? So,
because it knows that Bogus branch has no upstream branch. If I go, open file on remote, it's open on remote for which branch? It's saying what is the upstream branch you actually want to use. If I had an upstream branch, I think we could just use that. And that's probably all I need to do, right?
Potentially, yeah. So
that's probably the easiest thing to do is if I have, because it's doing it by a specific commit, let's use the head commit of the upstream branch rather than my local head.
Yes. However, I think what I'd rather do is not use the branch name, but actually the commit SHA, because that's the whole reason for this GH use canonical, because once you have a commit SHA, it's a stable thing. Right. You'll always link to the same thing. If you link to a branch name, the branch might.
But you do have to use the branch to get the upstream branch, and then you transform back to the SHA. And that's what I think is, and even if I'm doing, and that's also, there's another underlying bug here too of, okay, if I don't have the canonical SHA thing passed and it is just using the branch name, sometimes upstream branch and my local branch are named different things. And so it's right now just going to look at what is the branch name of the head. And that doesn't actually mean that's the same thing as the branch name of the remote. So we need to actually, I think we need to get some upstream branch information. Probably fall back to just, so because I don't know how to do fancy menus and stuff, or like even do error messages in Vim, I would suggest let's fall back using whatever it's doing right now, but try to be smart and advanced. If we do have upstream information, let's use that. So I think that's our first step.
I agree. But in terms of offering a menu, GHLine does already do something like that. If you have multiple remotes, it will ask you which remote you want to go to.
Oh, cool.
So we could probably repurpose that to offer, like, which branch do you want to go to, or something like that. Which upstream branch do you want to use? So we could do something like that, but that's that's out of scope maybe for our first attempt at this, right?
Yeah, well, cool. Do you wanna pick it back up?
Share back, yeah. Okay. Can you see?
I can see it.
So remind me what we're trying to do here.
I think in here, I think this is the fallback behavior. So I think I would almost want to rename this to, I'm thinking a little ahead now. I almost want to rename this function to commit fallback, and I want to create a new function for commit, and let's just call commit fallback right away. But I think we want to do something fancier if we have upstream information. So some questions are, how do we get upstream information? And that's what we'll answer. But if we don't have that, let's do this fallback. I guess we can do return, and then like on line 22, looks like that's how you can call a function. Oh, like on line 222, it looks like you can just call it, and then we can return that thing.
C. I think I have to do A, C to cd diff.
Run our test and see if that is good.
Oh, I left some stuff in the tests. Let's get rid of that. So where were we?
Can you, oh yeah, we can get rid of that. And then I guess.
What else did I change? Did I change anything? Oh, foo. There we are. So let's just undo all my changes here.
Cool.
Test passed. Okay, great. So that worked. And if I don't do that, got a test failure. So we're working. We are cooking with gas, as I've heard Americans say.
I've never heard that, but that sounds good. Okay, cool. So now I think and so we can talk about simplifying problems. I like to kind of do pseudocode as function names. Like I like what we need is some sort of function that gives us upstream information. So I would almost just function right away.
What? Sorry. Yeah, along those lines. So what in words are we trying to do here? We're trying to get the upstream branch for the current branch.
Mm-hmm.
And if there isn't one,
then fallback. So that's just this first behavior is if we happen to have upstream branch, let's use that upstream information. If we do not, let's just fall back to what we were previously doing.
So if has upstream, how do if statements work? They just do that. Okay. And if, or no, we want an else return fallback.
Something like, basically, yeah, something like that. What do you think of that? I know it's not a perfect solution, but I think it could still be a quality of life improvement where if we have the upstream information, we can use it and we can do something smart. If we don't, ideally, yeah, we would either show a message or have a menu, but I feel like there's a small win here.
So my feeling is, I wonder if we want to if there is no upstream, then rather than just falling back straight to here, we could try and find the merge base of the local branch with some upstream branch, and then find and use the commit hash of that merge base.
But we may not. But I think that might be. I personally think that might be an assumption, because what if I'm working on a feature branch and I want to open this up on remote and I really want to see what's my remote's feature branch? Like, I think the merge base might be in a bit of assumption. Plus, I don't even know if we have a canonical main master branch anymore.
No, we don't. This is true. Which is where I guess the menu system might come up, but like we said, that's maybe out of scope for now. So okay, let's proceed with this then. So
it could be an option. Maybe we could have an option that's like, what's the default thing we want to open up with if we don't have something that could maybe be an option, but I don't know.
So I guess we want to get the upstream branch name, and if it has one, use that to get the commit or the branch name. Right. Okay. So first things first, how do we get the remote branch name? So
you're asking a good question.
Git rev-parse. I mean, I imagine Git rev-parse is where we want to go. So git help rev-parse.
I don't know if rev-parse is going to, you think it'll have it?
Oh, no. You know what? It's probably branch is more useful, right? So remote
Git branch remotes. Oh, there's set upstream. Oh, if you go up, I think I saw one.
Yeah, you can set upstream too.
I saw dash u, which seemed like it. Oh, this is still setting the upstream. There's not a get the upstream.
So you can unset the upstream. That's not what we want. I have a feeling this is maybe a slightly weird thing to want to do. So Git doesn't actually provide maybe an easy way to do that. I mean, I do know that if you do say git branch v, it gives you it here. So I wonder if we want to.
I think it's got to be there somewhere. I'm gonna do a Google search. Git branch name or get the upstream branch name. Nope. They did say git VV. That's the one that I see here.
Git branch VV.
It looks like git status can have it as well. If you do git status dash SB, this is what Stack Overflow told me to do. Git status dash SB.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
This.
Okay.
So I mean, yeah. So that or that both print the upstream, but extracting that.
Oh look, we can do formatting with rev-parse. That's perfect. That's yes. Let me just send this URL to you so that we can be looking at the same thing. Here we go.
Sorry, let's move that there. Okay.
So if you go to the second answer, that I would go to the second answer.
Oh, this one?
Yeah.
Ah, yes, of course, because that is the symbol for upstream. Okay, yes, that's exactly what we want.
Yeah, I think we could just use that.
Pretty much. That gets you. We need to strip out this, I guess.
Yeah, and that's doable. Remotes can't have slashes in their name, right?
Yeah, well, I don't know.
Okay. But we also, I think we want to keep that. I think we want to keep that ref too, the origin slash whatever, so that we can distinguish between. Well, oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, we'll figure that out. I see what you're saying. We'll see. It's just a Vim plugin. Like it doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah, exactly. So and I think this is the syntax. So let upstream branch equals, and we need to call
system.
Yeah, so something like this. And we have the CDER, so that's fine. And instead of this, we want, yes, I still have that. Okay, great.
Beautiful.
And what should we do here? So we probably want to return, I mean, for now, we could just do something like that. You know, that's not going to work, but let's see what happens.
Ooh, that sounds fancy.
That's
Obviously,
unexpected.
obviously it passes.
Why would that
Others.
pass? Well,
Um,
I guess
is upstream branch is that empty potentially? Can we print it?
how do we do that again? Persist.
Yeah, there was like a
Oh, it's not actually here. It's in the test.
is it just echo something?
Yeah, let's do that. Echo M. So
But it looks like we want to echo the right thing.
yeah, we do, don't we?
And potentially outside of the if.
Not seeing it. Maybe. Let's try echo. That should just work, I guess.
On line 235, can we just throw garbage in there and get to see if it'll just blow up? Like, can we do like call? Yeah, something like that. Okay, I don't feel great anymore.
No,
What?
this is somehow not working in the expected way.
What? Where else do we do system calls?
I think the tests are not doing what we're expecting them to do. So that's maybe the wrong thing to try here.
Well, that's frustrating. Did we rename all commits to commit fallback?
Yeah, this is
But like, are we just testing that function directly now?
no, because in the tests, it's actually calling.
Still calling commit.
Yeah, see here, call with SID, and it's finding the function called commit. So it's finding our new function. And
maybe
act. Yeah, it's expecting act to match branch. So branch. So yeah, so branch in the test should be master. But our code should be returning origin/master. So we should get a failure here, which is confusing to me. So let me just try call assert. Is it match that they're doing? Do you know what? I wonder if it's because match does like a contains rather than equals.
Oh, that might be it. Do you want to do a persistent print? But we're also should be returning just garbage, right? Like I thought we also just try to blow it up.
This is true. That's unexpected. What's going on here?
You asked for too much.
Whoa, I can't kill it.
Uh-oh. That was amazing.
What happened there?
Yeah, I have no idea. Can we just echo what L branch is, or are like whatever we're doing, the persistent print thing on line 87?
Let's like that.
I'm a little concerned that there might be some caching stuff that we're overlooking here. Oh no, it might be hung up because maybe now it's actually trying to run our garbage. That's why it's hanging up now.
No, but I've cleaned that up.
Oh, really?
How weird.
I don't feel good anymore. I was feeling good.
Yeah, this is not going. Huh.
Uh-oh.
Why?
Is it possible that we've done some sort of recursive thing. Look at all those properties Zoom uses.
I'm going to git stash.
So
git reset.
You know, you and I might have learned something about. We might be learning something about how this call with SID thing works. Part of me wonders.
It's probably this. I've got a syntax error there. So where is that? That's in the test file.
Chom.
It's interesting that like, what is this doing that causes the process to just hang like that? That's bizarre, right? Anyway, let's see how that goes. That is not it. Oh, it's because I didn't save the file. Okay. Saved. Tests are running, and we've echoed master. Lovely, fine.
That was amazing. I guess this is what happens when you're not using, when you're, writing plugin code with the plugin library. When you have syntax errors, don't expect a syntax error friendly message. Sometimes it's just, we're gonna just stop your thing and we're gonna keep running. I like how they set up tests here. Like, I'm glad that there are some tests. I think that's really nice. But it's funny how, this isn't necessarily the most friendly of environments to be developing in.
No, Vim is not the friendliest for sure, and vimscript itself has got a lot of sharp edges.
Mm-hmm.
Like the thing that always confused me the most is line continuations in Vim. So most languages you'd put like a backslash at the end of the line to sort of escape the return, escape the new line, but it's actually done on the next line, like this.
Oh, that's why it failed. Because we had a backslash instead of
no, it was a forward slash.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
Never mind. You're just trying to see if these things are different.
Yeah, are they returning what we expect?
cddir, it's L cddir, I guess.
Yeah.
Because I guess A would be we're talking about the argument cdr, and L is we're talking about this local variable cdr. That's interesting.
So
sweet. You're seeing if match.
Yeah, so we know that L branch and L upstream branch are definitely different. Upstream branch. And it's passed. So if I do
assert equal,
yeah.
They fail.
They fail. So let's change this. I mean, why is this assert match at all, right? That's a bit surprising.
Let's see what L branch is. I don't know. Maybe because of this issue, but now I think you're right. I think we should assert equal it. I mean, I prefer having stricter tests anyways.
I agree. So it's currently passing, but that's because I've commented out this stuff. So let's bring this back.
We're letting our tests drive our development.
I imagine the problem here then is that this doesn't work, this if statement.
Yeah. I would concur. Execute the command. I guess maybe we have to do is like if. So in vimscript, how do we do if not empty, or like if truthy. Conditionals. Learn vimscript the hard way.
No, let's have the easy way.
Vim does not necessarily treat a non-empty string as truthy. I like the wordiness of that sentence. Vim does not necessarily treat a non-empty string as truthy.
Yeah, that's sort of like, is that a double negative there, or is it like not a
I
double
don't
negative?
know.
I can't even tell.
So
How do you get a string length?
that's a good question. This website told me to drink a beer and to console myself about Vim's coercion of strings to integers.
Here we are. Here we've got a if len of something is 0. So let's do something like that.
Oh, you rock.
Len is greater than 0.
Sweet.
I have no idea if that's canonical Vim, but I doubt it is. We have a failure. Great.
Okay. I'd like to test the case of when we don't have an upstream branch. Can we check out just a bogus branch real fast and see what happens?
So we got got fatal, no upstream configured for branch. Okay. So we probably need some error handling here. So
Is it giving us just a string of whatever it spits out?
I think it is. Yeah.
Okay.
So help system. What does system do? Get the output of the shell command as a string.
What is anything about errors?
Yeah.
When prepended by silent.
What is cooked mode? What is this? Okay, I don't think that's right.
The result is a string, more system independent. The command executed is constructed is an automatically generated file. The command will be executed in cooked mode. Cooked mode. Note that any wrong value in the options mentioned above may make the function fail. Nope, it's just gonna get the output as a string. We could use, but reading this made me realize, okay, we can't just assume we have a bash environment. So we probably don't want to do a fancy bash thing to, like, if we fail, do something else.
Yeah, there must be a way for this system call to
vimscript system to fail on how to get the return status value of an external command info.
Here it is. I found it. Sorry, I don't know how I missed this. When you call system, the resulting error code can be found in v shell error.
Obviously, it's a global variable that's just gonna.
It's not a global because it's preceded by v.
I guess it's a vim. You're right. It's a vim variable.
For all intents and purposes. So what we can do. I shouldn't have closed that.
Yeah. So what you can do if v error.
Shell error. Okay. If v shell error, I'm going to assume 0 following the conventions of process exit return codes.
Yeah.
Then we return the upstream branch.
Yeah.
Test passed.
Nice. And if we go back to master, it's going to fail, right?
Yep.
Sweet. Okay.
We are making progress.
I would put all that into a function. The get upstream branch function.
What's the return value that we want there?
I would return empty if our shell error is not 0. And like let's just put all of that, encapsulate all of that in its own thing.
Sorry, you want to return empty string or something?
Yeah, so then we can go, then I don't have to worry about just that shell error thing is a little.
Return that.
Yeah, that's personally how I would handle this. And then on line 244, let's just call upstream branch.
I guess I want to say yeah, I want to put it in a variable. So let upstream is equal to s upstream branch. See there. You can see my JavaScript coming out there. So if
and then the whole len thing that you're just doing. So yeah,
that's right. If or you know what we could do if upstream is equal to the empty string or not equal to, presumably vim is like that.
sure.
That's not great, but again,
Yeah.
let's just get it working.
cd dir.
Yeah, I think I need to pass. Here we are.
Yeah. Oh, look, there's a call stack there. You can kind of follow it. L upstream branch is on line 246 on commit, but they're saying line 3 of the commit function on that call stack. That's interesting. Sweet, awesome. Okay, now how do we get the head of that upstream branch? That's then the next question.
As in the SHA.
Yeah, so what we want to do then, I guess, I would personally do another function. I like creating. I personally would do another function. Like we have commit fallback. I would do one for commit upstream branch or whatever. I don't know. And do
we want
so it's going to look very much like commit fallback, but it's going to take 2 arguments. It's going to take the cd dir and it's going to take the branch we want to look at, the head. We either can just we're going to return just that branch name, or we're going to get the SHA from that remote branch
based on
the branch ref.
You need to talk me through. Okay. I'm lost.
Sorry. So I'm envisioning another function that looks just like 250. What's on 254? But it takes 2 arguments. It's going to take the cd dir so we can run git commands, and it's going to take the upstream branch ref. And so what we're going to do is, rather than running git rev-parse head, I think we're going to do git rev-parse upstream branch.
Yes. So we want to concatenate strings, which I think is done like this. A upstream branch, something like that.
That makes sense. And then I think on line 238, I think it's instead of head, we do upstream branch. I think we can do it. I think we're good, because these are all refs in Git world, right?
Should be. So
which is interesting, because now what we just identified though is we can actually kind of this function, I even said it, it's going to look just like 260. Well, why don't we just have one function that just takes what's the git ref? So we can just have one function instead of commit fallback. We actually can do, if we could do like a default thing, we either use the upstream branch or the ref is head, and that's all we got to do, and it's the same thing. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do. I have no idea if
it's like, what I kind of want to do is like on line 252. Also, even get this. We don't even have to do something fancy. We can keep it all encapsulated in our upstream branch. This isn't getting just the upstream branch anymore. This is getting what's our ref. So on 247, let's just return head. And now I think we're golden. It's now all maybe. I probably should have tested this out before working so far in my head, but I'm thinking on line 2.
So here we're saying, what's the upstream branch name? If there is an upstream branch name, return it. If there isn't an upstream branch name, I don't think we want to return head, because this is the case where we're on a local branch with local commits. So head is not going to produce something we want. Head is the thing we want to avoid in this case.
But it's actually what we're falling back to. So that's, I think, rather than what's the upstream branch, this is really more of like, what's the relevant Git reference? And we want to use the upstream information if possible, but if we don't have it, we're going to use head. And then then it's just the same, on line 262 and 264, just like what we were doing up there with our new function. We're just going to put that ref in. If you like it this way, if you don't like it this way, we can go back to how we were doing it, where let's get the upstream branch. If we don't have the upstream branch, we do this. But I was actually saying, oh, wait, we're duplicating ourselves. The only thing that makes these different is what git ref are we referencing? Are we referencing head or are we referencing origin master? And I can pass both head and origin master to those git commands on 262 and 264. I'm pretty sure. We might want to double check that if we do.
So here we want to actually pass. We want to replace 260 with 234.
I think so. I think so. If you like it, if you don't like it that way, we don't have to do that.
I'm fine with this. This is fine. Let's call this commit fallback again. I guess, for the sake of argument, and I think pass in upstream here. I guess. No, that's not going to work.
Well, we shouldn't be calling it upstream anymore. It's really called ref. It's really a reference.
So that's what it's called here.
And I would call it on 245. Like our whole function for upstream branch, now that we're returning head, it's not really an upstream branch anymore. It's really, we could call it like that. But you notice on 247, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do commit fallback on 247.
Well, hang on. This is yeah. I've gotten confused here because we were returning an empty string here, and it was checking for the empty string here. So really,
this is 100% my fault for confusing you, and I'm really sorry. I'm kind of imagining this is only a 2-line function commit. It's just let's get the git ref. Like we really should rename 235 to what's the commit ref. And then commit is let's get the ref, then let's call this other function, I
guess. So it's just going to do this. Is this what you're saying?
Yes.
Ref.
Yeah.
Could probably put that in one line, but that's fine. So is this function doing what we want it to be? Like we probably don't want. No, I think upstream branch is the correct name here because that's what the git rev-parse command is actually doing.
Right.
So if it's...
it sounds like that's 245. We got to rename our reference to the function. And what do you think? Do you like it this way, or do you think this is a little weird?
In terms of structure, I like it. The only thing I'm not sure about is the case where, like, if you do git checkout branch foobar, this is just gonna still return a 404 page to you.
Yeah, so it's right, and that is the downside here. I think that's the problem we're not solving yet, is where what GitLens does is you have to pick a branch because there's no upstream information. We're solving it for if there is upstream information, and I've made some more commits, all of that should now work, which wasn't working previously. Do you think that there's a way to solve this one when there's not upstream commit information? You were talking about using like the merge base, or you can use master or main, but I feel like we may not really be able to use that kind of assumption.
Yeah, I mean, I think the alternative there gets a bit hairy. So for instance, you'd probably want to first ask the user which remote you want to look at, and then it's going to have to, I don't know, try and see yeah, well, that's tricky. That is tricky. Like you're gonna want it to try and find a commit that exists on a remote commit.
Yeah.
That contains the lines you're looking for. I feel like that must be possible with git blame somehow. Remote.
So in Git world, like Git's not going to track branches, like refs, are just pointers to commit hashes.
Yes.
So on git blame, it's not going to know, like, it's going to just give me a commit hash with the commit information for a line and a file. What we can do is then search what branches have this hash in its tree. We could probably do that bit. You know what I mean? So once you have a commit hash, you might be able to say, okay, what branches do I know of remote in this remote that have this commit? But that does sound like a linear / polynomial like exercise that could take a long time.
So let me just show you. It's just occurred to me, I think, what we want to do. That's what I wanted. Git remote add. I can't remember the syntax for this. Is it remote add and then the name? So foobar. Okay, great. So now I probably have to restart Vim. If I execute this, you see it's asked me, please select one remote, foobar or origin.
Mm-hmm.
So I think maybe the best thing to do here is, if there is no upstream branch for your current branch, it should ask you what branch you want to use. And maybe you don't give a list, you just, for now, we just give them a prompt.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea. I like it. So I like that. If there's no upstream branch, information, what branch do you want to use? And maybe you can just press enter and it'll default to whatever's previously there. I like that.
So where have we got that? So here I'm suggesting we do something like a prompt for ref.
Okay, and here's
prompt for branch.
Well, you know what? And I'm gonna undo all the confusion I did. It was nice that we had a function that was just focused on the responsibility of give me the upstream branch. There was an opportunity when we saw the code to like make it, oh, well, this function could also do the default behavior. But now that our default behavior is a bit more involved, well, I guess we can just keep it in here. Yeah. What do you think? Do you like it like that? Or do you think it was nicer when we had just one function focused on getting an upstream branch?
I feel like we should get it working and then make it right.
Sure, that's a good idea.
As ugly as it's going to be, you know.
Yeah, I think we're close. Let's do it.
So at this point, so we don't have an upstream branch. That means we don't have a way to say get a commit hash that we know is on remote. So we need to ask the user. So we're going to ask the user. So we already have seen that there's a prompt somehow that this gets. So it's going to at some point get a list of remotes. Git remote. That's not it. Remotes. Okay, so it's remote.
Oh, here's one. It does not have any remote. And then if you go down, remote URL. Oh, find git remote is line 88 potentially, where we're doing find git remote. Is that?
Yeah, this is the one. Well done. So, okay, there's just an input function. So maybe we can just use input and it's blocking. So that's nice. We can just do input, please provide the remote name.
Well, I think it's already going to do the remote. Is it do the remote by default?
Yes. Yeah, it does. So it's presumably going to do this first, and then if it hits our line of code, it's going to ask for the branch. So let's do. Let's grab that.
But I kind of wonder if and while you're doing this, if the long-term, best solution was rather than prompting the user twice, if I have the upstream information, let me just open that up. But otherwise, let me prompt for the remote and the branch name. Like, I wonder why we're not. That sounds like that should just be one ask.
So that's a very good point.
But it's going to require unraveling a little bit that's going on already. So I wouldn't worry about it, but I was just thinking about it. Let's get it working. And then what you said is what we should do, is let's get it working. And
one nice feature of this is that as soon as you've chosen a remote, so let me execute this again. It's asking me because I didn't actually answer last time. If I say origin now, and then it opens that up. If I try again, it just doesn't ask me again. It's saved that origin is my preferred remote to link to.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay. All right. Yeah, and that's a whole bunch of complexity I don't think we want to mess with. So that's interesting. I wasn't aware of that. But cool. But it looks like, yeah, we can copy whatever they're doing there, and please provide remote.
So something like that.
Yeah.
And then, in fact, we can probably just return that. Right.
Can we default it to head so I can just like enter through it or something? Or maybe we can default it to something.
Yeah, let's say master or main or whatever.
We could just default to whatever my current branch name is.
Which I could get and feed into
that
here.
That sounds cool. Yeah.
Let's leave that out for now. So
if we could do the whole, yeah.
Then set text. Yeah. What do we want to do? We want to return. We have that git rev-parse. It's this one, I think.
Yeah, we could just return that, but
yeah, we probably want to abstract that out. But
yeah, I like that we're just putting it on paper right now. I'm having so much fun with vimscript. I wanna do all the optimization and organization.
Yeah.
If len branch is equals 0, else we return.
Actually, yeah, let's just do end if and then return l branch. Yes. Shall we try it out?
We shall. Do you know if return actually terminates the function?
It must do. Like, that's how every language works, right?
No.
No?
No, some languages don't. Return does not terminate the function.
Like what?
You ask a good question. I know that I've run into this before on some languages, that return is not the same as like transferring the call thing or whatever.
Popping the call stack, yeah.
Yeah.
So
let's just assume that. I'm fine with assuming that it is.
Cool. So we are on foobar branch, which doesn't have an upstream, and let's see what happens. So it's asking us for which remote, which is fine. Say origin. Okay, please provide a remote branch.
We're on master, so we should just be able to press enter.
No, I'm on foobar.
Oh, well, never mind.
So if I press enter, it'll take me to a 404.
Right.
Which it hasn't. Why not? Why not?
Well, maybe that's a good thing.
7BB. It's taken me. Okay. It's because the commit SHA for my current branch happens to be on origin master.
That's cool. That's great.
So that's kind of worked.
If we had don't use the canonical thing, if we had that flag off, then it would do a 404, like you said.
So let me try now that I've got a commit that's not on remote. That is returning a 404 because this commit does not exist there.
Right.
So that's expected, I guess. But if I run it again, but instead say I want the master branch, it's taken me to there.
Yes! I was worried and I wasn't feeling good. I feel good now. I feel better. This looks really nice.
So there's lots of quality of life stuff we could improve here. Like we could get like the 3 most recently committed to branches or something and say which one do you want, maybe, or
right. I would
we could combine the requests for which origin or which remote or which branch you want. But
could we do one maintainability thing while we're here, which I think might be nice?
Absolutely.
Can we create a new function? I love functions. Can we create one called branch name or whatever? I like functions that have verbs in it, but I see we're not quite. Well, we kind of are doing that, anyways. Can we do what we're doing on line 259 with that? Can we copy that? And I guess we also need to get ref. So I just want to encapsulate this bit that we've now copied over in 245 as well.
Oh, this one, not 259, 261.
Oh, you're right. Yes.
So where we get the abbreviated ref. So I'm surprised that is not already abstracted out, right? Yeah, it's not. I guess it was only written once in this case. So fair enough. So we are going to be given a. What does Git call? Is a SHA and a branch name a ref? Are they both refs?
Yep.
So we want to be passing in a ref here. And we just want to do this like that. And
yeah, so then the small quality of life improvement we can do is above 244. Let's create a new variable called current branch. Let's go ahead and fetch it first. Put it in our message of what it's going to default to.
Sorry, I was.
No, you're good.
I can't listen at the same time. What did you say?
Above 244, let's fetch it first and then put it in our message of what it's going to default to.
Yes. Okay. So our current branch is this.
Yeah.
Let L current branch. And defaults to quote and current branch dot.
I love how you.
This is really hard. What do I need to say here? It's I need to close that and then put that in, and then close that and then close that. Yes.
That's beautiful. I think you want to do an equals on line 243.
Nah. Who needs assignment operators?
And then we can on 246 just return current branch. I wish we could do like a ternary thing or something. I don't know what I'm doing though.
So if we don't have
if we don't have any
branch, then return the current branch. Okay, cool. Have I missed off any opportunities to use this? A ref?
Over in
this one.
Actually in 262, yeah.
So what do I call it? Branch name, and we're passing in the ref.
Yeah. And I would honestly, now that we're not having this fallback, now that we're not doing this one behavior or fallback behavior, I would honestly I would get rid of fallback function and put it all in commit now.
Yeah.
If you want to do that.
So we're just, I mean, yeah, all we're doing is...
I think it's just getting rid of 255. Oh, yeah, I like that. Oh, but we got to get rid of ref as an argument.
Yes, we do.
And then all of our other A refs become L refs.
Right, yeah. There's one. And there's one. Okay, cool. Quickly take this for a spin.
This is going to work.
And let's select the whole file, shall we?
Oh, nice.
Origin. And, oh no! Undefined variable current branch. What have I done?
That didn't work as well as we thought it was going to work.
I'm not seeing a problem there. What was the error?
Is branch name returning something?
Yeah.
It is.
Let me run that command again.
Not enough arguments for branch name. Oh, because we got to pass the seed eater.
I'm not a fan of passing this argument around all these functions, but that's the way it's already done in this file. So, you know. So let's quit and try that again. Select all. Origin. It defaults to foobar. I've repeated. Why is it?
I love that. Oh, and there's a it's wrapping.
But it's not sort of overwritten the previous command input sort of prompt.
Yeah, that's a little that's something we might want to figure out. How do we clear out? But I'm also noticing, I think our branch name might have a new line at the end of it.
And that returned a 404 because our foobar branch is fine, so that's expected. So what's going on here? Let's zoom this. Current branch. You think current branch actually returns a new line, contains a new line?
I think so, because it didn't just wrap; it wrapped 2 lines, right?
Let's try. Oops. It might have just been because the terminal was quite small. So, oh no,
Yeah,
it is definitely.
Okay, let's. How do you trim things in vimscript?
But that's weird, right?
Oh,
so
Vim8 has a trim function. Is Vim8 new enough that that's what we're using?
Yeah, this is Vim. That's not how you get the Vim version. Oh God, what has this done? Oh no. Vim is so fun sometimes, honestly. There you go, 8.1 I'm on. So I think most people nowadays would be on Vim 8.
You can also do a regex substitute if that. Maybe for right now we could just do a trim as a function, I guess we can call on.
I'm just curious why, because the remote list like that, yeah. How come? They're splitting on new lines. That's how they're doing it, and so they'd avoid the problem, I guess, by just splitting on those characters.
Are you okay if we just call trim on our? We can do it on our branch name function on 235. We can just trim whatever we get from the system.
It's just like this, right?
Yeah.
Origin, yeah. Oh, it's worked. It's overwritten the prompt this time for some reason. But anyway, so that's looking good. If we go to master, it's working nicely.
Yes.
I'm just going to add a space at the end of that. Cool.
And so we
What
don't
else?
ask this question if there's an upstream. So if we go back to our are you going to do some committing?
Yeah, this is terrible behavior. It's just I'm quite excited and I want to move on. So
That's a good call. Yeah.
I would normally do a much better commit message than that. And if I do submit this for a pull request, I'll definitely make that cleaner. But
cool. Well, please do submit it for a pull request and ping me on it. That'd be awesome. Can we test it out with we test it out on master with the new commit on master?
So let me first do it not on a new commit.
Okay.
And if we do this, we get the 7BB, great. And you want to add a new commit here?
Yeah.
That should be foo.
I like goo. Goo's a pretty good one.
So we have a new commit, not on remote. And if we go here, let's select Vandal and so on. It is selected 7BB still.
And that used to not work.
We can, yeah, so this Vim instance right here is still running our old code. So if we quit and load our new code, which is whatever's on Origin Master, which happens to not be quite this.
I love how these things are referencing each other.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it? Like this instance of Vim is running on before we touched anything. This one is now running on.
That's amazing.
So this one, so here we're running on code that is basically untouched by us. And it returns a 404.
Yeah, that's it. We solved the problem and we got to do the prompt. And it's actually so much less daunting of a prompt than the GitLens, which like shows you all the branches on remote or something. I like this solution a lot.
I mean, if you had a huge branch name, like generated by a merge request, you know, or something like that, you don't want to type that out manually. So making that better.
But it's nice that it defaults to your current branch name.
Yeah.
And so that's helpful. If it was another large name, do you know how to this is something I've always looked up, but I don't think I've ever remembered. Like, do you know how to paste from clipboard into the command? I've never been able to do that in Vim.
As in, if you're entering a command here.
Yeah.
So I can. Oh, you mean programmatically?
Well, no. So you can't actually just do, Control V and paste it from there.
Yeah. So for me, my terminal Control Shift V pastes, and so that's just working.
Okay. So you just need to make sure so for the usability purpose, if you did have just a super long branch name to enter there, you kind of really should make sure your terminal supports pasting in some form or fashion on doing it from there. I've been on some terminals that don't support pasting, and like having to copy into this thing, as having to paste into this thing somehow has always been a problem for me.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of Vim users use like a graphical Vim, so GVim or something like that, where it's much better integrated with your desktop environment, I suppose. But yeah, when you have Vim in a terminal, you might have some restrictions, like working with clipboard.
Cool. No, this sounds awesome. Hey, I'm so stoked that we got it working. It's great.
This is certainly going to improve my quality of life, to be honest. Like, this is a little bug that's kind of bugged me for a little while, and it's actually let's take a look. Git checkout foo, git diff origin master.
I think you're on foo bar is the branch that you're interested in. Foo is.
Yes. Yeah. So I really worried for a second there. Git checkout master.
We could also use rev-log if we ever needed to.
Yeah. So I'm just doing some cleanup here. So git checkout foo, git branch delete foo, git checkout foo bar. git diff origin master. I've made a change to the README file accidentally, it seems.
I don't know what that is. That's
No,
weird.
this isn't right. It's because what? Why?
Yeah, it's including more changes than we thought.
Tig origin master. That's wrong. I should just be diffing. Why? So yeah, why is this not pointing to origin master? Did I rebase at some point? I don't think I did.
Is it related to merge commits?
Somehow. Do you know what I think I did? I think I reset. Yeah, I reset to the head parent of master at some point. So I just need to do git rebase onto master, and then my git diff command will show our changes. Okay, there we are.
Interesting.
So I still have made a change there, but that's going from match to equal.
I think that's
and that is the extent of all that work. Just these,
yeah.
just this 25 insertions and 5 deletions.
Nice. It's a but it's I'm happy to have learned. I'd never touched vimscript before, so this was a lot of fun. I feel empowered now to not only contribute to Vim plugins that I use, but maybe even like help more automate my life a little bit. So this is super helpful. I kind of now am a little worried, like we don't have a lot of tests for everything.
Yeah, we would.
But I don't know how we would do it without having to also set up and tear down, like, because we need to have a certain branch checked out that doesn't have remotes. Like, I don't know how we would want to handle some of those, you know?
Yeah, and I think also, sorry, what's going on here?
But this was super cool. Yeah, please create the pull request and ping me on it, and I'll add it as a link to our recording too. But yeah, thanks for picking an interesting issue and driving the session.
Not at all. Yeah, when I'll definitely open the pull request once I clean it up a bit, and most importantly, fix the commit message.
Yeah, that's awesome. Nil, do you want to stop sharing your screen and we can recap a little bit? How do you feel? You had you ever done vimscript before? I mean, you had a little bit of experience, it seemed like, looking at it, but what was it like? How would you feel about contributing to this project? What are your thoughts and feelings on it?
I probably have never spent that long writing vimscript. I've looked at and touched a bit of vimscript before, I guess, but I never really, and I still don't, but I never really felt like I knew what I was doing. Like the whole prefixing of variables by like a little tag, I guess.
Yeah.
Like this one's a global one, this one's an argument, this one's a local, felt very weird to me.
Yeah, it's
and I still don't.
It's like the Hungarian notation used in C, because there's no encapsulation. It's just, okay, this is don't access things labeled M because that means private for some reason, and like
yeah, it's kind of, it's namespacing your variables into some distinct groups, which is fine, I guess, but it's also a bit weird.
Yeah, I think when you do that, it does, because what you've technically done is you've taken a reference, you've coupled it to some implementation. Like, this is coming from an argument. And that is a little restricting. We kind of ran into it when we were copying code from one place to another or something. We were like, oh, this isn't coming from an argument anymore. So we have to like re-reference all of this, as opposed to if you just have a general reference, and this happens, and when at runtime as well, is like, if you just have a general reference to something, that's way more reusable. Uh,
Mhm.
and so it's not ideal. It's really weird that it does let that you are doing it, but some languages do it for some reason. I don't know why.
Who knows? Maybe it made the implementation of the language easier. I don't know.
That's a good point, and I bet so. I bet that's probably related to it. That's interesting. Cool. Well, this was so much fun, and man,
It
there's such
was.
a wealth of open source Vim plugins um, to contribute to. That's cool. Yeah, please do create the pull requests and ping me on it. We can collaborate on it and help push it through the goal. But this was a lot of fun. Thanks for hopping on and taking the time, Mark.
It was. Thank you very much for inviting me. It's been
Awesome.
blessed.
All right. Well, you have a good rest of your day. I'll catch you later.
Thanks. Cheers.